I know what I'm doing here. We're great. We're good. We're fine. Okay, welcome to Pores and Prose. I'm in my bedroom. I'm in my cozy clothes, or as my son likes to say, these are my pajamas, but they're glorified pajamas and they're cozy and comfy because tonight we are gonna discuss books that are on my physical bookshelf that I want to read in the spring/summer. So without further ado, pull up a chair, sit on your couch, get comfy and cozy with me, grab your cup of tea, coffee, whatever it is you have on hand, and let's get into it. Cheers. Okay, so let's talk about the books that I want to read, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I want to read, what genre these books are, kind of my expectations of these books. Some of these books, it's interesting, are by authors that I have read before. There is, I believe, on here one book that I've never read the author before of, and then honestly, majority of them are solely based on the plot line and the cover. Truth be told, I am slowly morphing into a mood reader. If you don't know what a mood reader is, it is a person that reads based on their mood. And sometimes seasons can affect your mood. So for example, during October, November, fall time, I like to read more spooky stories. I don't like horror books, but I like books that kind of put me into the fall vibes. That could be a romance book potentially, but usually it's like more of the spookier books. I love a good fantasy series, like a dark, deep fantasy series in the fall. But in the springtime and summertime, I usually gravitate towards those just really fun books. The books that don't have a lot of seriousness to them, don't have high emotions. It doesn't mean that I won't read an emotional, sappy book, but it also doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna read something that's gonna take me down like a deep, dark tunnel because the sun is out. It's springtime, we're getting outside a lot more. Summer is definitely when I'm outside by the pool, sometimes at the beach or at Dollywood, and I need just a book that's gonna bring some fun. So without further ado, let's talk about some of those books for me that I'm hopeful to read in the spring and summertime. And then maybe we will do a brief couple mentions of books that I also just need to read. We'll see how this goes, but let's get into it. So the first book that I want to talk about is And Now Back to You by BK Borrison. And this book, to be honest, I am so excited to read. I read First Time Caller by BK Borrison. I want to say I've talked about that book in another video. I think I talked about it in my previous video. I talked about it in my first video because I had bought the book way back in January. And it was my second book actually by BK Borrison. And funny enough, this is a part of the Heartstrings series. And First Time Caller was technically the first book in this series. This book is the second book. I want to say you can read these out of order. Typically with the romance genre in general, if it is in a series, you don't necessarily have to read them in order. And I am honestly the person that most of the time reads the books out of order. This is one of the few series where I'm actually kind of following the publication order. So, And Now Back to You by BK Borrison. This is about two meteorologists who get stuck, I want to say, in really bad weather. Thunderstorm, I think it's more so tornado, heavy winds. Anyways, these two characters get stuck and they're confined together, which means that they probably will fall in love. I don't even know the names of the main characters. I don't want to know the names of the main characters. I just want to read this book. I think this cover honestly gives more so the spring, summer vibes. You're reading about weather and meteorologists, so that typically means that you're going to be really kind of in the mood for crazy seasonal weather. And I think spring and summer is sometimes when we get that weather. So I'm really excited to read this book. I am not nervous about reading this book. I have no hesitations. I have no oh, I need to read this one. I have more so just pure excitement. I definitely will read this book when I'm in the mood for a cute romance book. I don't even know how many pages this book is. It's 438 pages. So about the same, I guess, length of the book as First Time Caller. A little longer for a romance book, but still, it's going to be a good one, and I'm excited about it. Okay, kind of going on with the theme of the romance genre. This next book is also in a series, which I completely read out of order. Now, I will post all the pictures of this series. This is a series by Sarah Adams. I don't know if this series has a name, and I'm not finding one. I'll probably include the name of the whole series, but this is the fourth book and final book in the series. This is In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. This book is about Madison, I believe. Yes, Madison. So this book is the 4th book in a romance series, and the other 3 books are about siblings of Madison. So I personally have really enjoyed reading this romance series. In Your Dreams specifically talks about Madison, but I've read the other 3 books. We have When in Rome, Practice Makes Perfect, and Beg, Borrow, or Steal. Honestly, my favorite of those previous 3 books would probably have to be Practice Makes Perfect and Beg, Borrow, or Steal. I loved Beg, Borrow, or Steal because it was about 2 teachers, and I was a teacher, and so that was actually the first book that I read in the series, and then I realized, oh wait, this is book 3 of a series, so I need to backpedal. And then I read When in Rome, loved Practice Makes Perfect, and now we are on to In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. I have to say, I've heard mixed reviews about this book. Basically, When in Rome was a closed-door, non-spicy book. Practice Makes Perfect towed the line, but was mostly closed door. Beg, Borrow, or Steal was definitely a 3 pepper rating on the romance spicy level. You had, I think, 1, maybe 2 open door scenes. And I've heard that In Your Dreams actually has a few open door scenes. So that is a little bit interesting to me, just like the dichotomy and changing of the spicy levels for the characters. Now, I will say with this particular sibling, it kind of tracks as far as like what you've learned about Madison in the rest of the books and the interactions that you've had Madison within the other books. I think I know who the love interest will be in this one. I think he was in Beg, Borrow, or Steal, and he was in Practice Makes Perfect a lot. But this is a series where I do think it might be helpful if you read the books in order. It might be a good idea just to get to know the family better, get to know all the siblings in their own individual romance stories, but I'm very excited about this one. This one, I really plan honestly on reading like this next month. I want to get it done. I want to finish the whole series, but I also just find that this is a pretty like small book. Now I say that 345 pages. So this will be a really fast read for me, and I foresee myself just reading it in the spring. I mean, the flowers, the colors, the design, this is made for somebody like me to read in the springtime. So that's In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. Okay, so the next 2 books are by the same author. Now, one is going to be a reread that will definitely happen in the summer, and one probably sooner rather than later. I would like to read this book, but it is by the author that many people know in the romance genre, and that is Emily Henry. Emily Henry is very well known in the romance genre as a whole. I actually want to do a video kind of deep diving some romance authors that I love, romance authors that I have on my bookshelf, and people that I just really enjoy their writing and style of romance, which you can probably guess who some of those authors might be, but I will talk about that in kind of a later video, probably this summertime is what I'm thinking. So the book that I want to read first, I have not read this one. This is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Now, this one, I am a little nervous to read about, I'm not gonna lie. And the cover is definitely giving me May, June, like beginning of summer vibes. So I don't think I will be as pressed to read it as I am to read In Your Dreams and Now Back to You. But this one, I definitely need to read. It's Emily Henry book that I have not read yet. I have read Beach Read, Happy Place. Is that it? I feel like yeah, those are the only 2 Emily Henry books I've read. Okay, maybe I need to like document this. Anyways, we'll put a pause on that. Maybe I'll do a video of my reactions of reading Emily Henry books. That would be kind of fun. Anywho, I haven't read some of Emily Henry's other books, and so this one is Book Lovers. I have heard mixed opinions about it. I've heard some people say they love it. Some people say it's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's not bad. I'm very curious where I will rank. I feel like Emily Henry, of course, is just a wonderful author. The way that she writes romance books and her settings of stories are so dreamy. They have just such a cool, like you can picture yourself in the places that the characters are walking and living in. So I'm very curious about this one. I must say, when I read Beach Read, I was really honestly disappointed with some of the ending plot lines of the book. I did not hate the main characters. I didn't hate the female main character. I actually loved her in Beach Read, but I had a different take than a lot of people do on that book. So with that being said, I feel like I could potentially disagree with the mainstream of Emily Henry lovers and actually really like Book Lovers. So that's a book that I definitely want to read. Another book that I want to reread is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I just cannot sing enough about Emily Henry and the praises of her as an author and her writing style. But this particular book, I want to reread again. I haven't read it in 2 years. It is clearly giving off summer vibes. It's giving go to the pool, go to Dollywood Splash Country with your son, take a book, have him swim, and read this book. So I'm really excited to deep dive and reread this book. I loved this book. It was the first Emily Henry book that I read, and I have to say it did not disappoint. I normally do not care for second chance romance books, but this one I ate up. I literally loved all of the characters in this book. I loved the complexities of them. I loved just everything about it. So I'm really excited to reread Happy Place, and it's a favorite of mine. Okay, now we're gonna switch gears a little bit and talk about 2 different genres and these books that I do want to read in the spring or summer. Let's start with one that's like I don't know when I'm gonna read it. And that is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. This is a new to me author, and to be honest with you, now that I'm looking at the cover, it's giving like fall vibes too. Oh no. I'm gonna attempt it. I'm gonna read this the spring or summer. You can hold me to it. But I'm gonna do it. This is actually a singleton fantasy book, which honestly, I don't have many fantasy standalones, I think is what they're called. I don't have many like fantasy standalone books, and I really need to find some that are not a part of a series, that keep me in the genre, but just do something different. It's kind of like some of the fantasy duologies that I recently read, which I'm gonna do a video about at a later time. But I'm really intrigued by this book. I'm intrigued by the plot line of this book. It does have some time traveling in it, but I've also heard it like emotionally tore some people up. And I think that's why I'm like, I need to read this. I bought this way back in January. So like realistically, I've had it on my shelf for 4 months. It's not too terrible, but I need to read this book. So that is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. To be honest, I don't remember much of the plot. I just know it's kind of been in mainstream, Bookstagram, BookTube. I've seen it on Goodreads a lot. People really like this book, so we'll see how it goes. That is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. Okay, we have technically this book, and then there's one more on my shelf that I meant to grab. But we have next up The Secret Book of Flora Lee by Patti, Callahan, Henry. Let me just tell you, I really like this author. I feel like, I've only read 2 books by her, I believe. I have one on my bookshelf that I should have grabbed, but Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patti, Callahan, Henry. Oh, that book. If you just, it's gonna like reappear in another video. Anyways, we're gonna see that book resurface in another video at some point in time. But this book, I don't really remember much of the plot line of this book. I do know there's time travel. I do know there's like some historical fiction intermingled throughout this book. But it really intrigued me, and I want to say I found this thrifting. I think it was on a book truck actually at a like festival of some kind. But this book I'm really intrigued by. I love Patti Callahan Henry. I think she's a great author. The second book I read by her will come to me at some point, but I really like her. I think she's a great kind of historical fiction, autobiographical memoir gal. And so I'm excited to read this one. The reason why I'm choosing to kind of put this on my TBR for the summer is this book kind of has a beautiful like sunset and the green, lush green pastures that you can see on the cover of this. Again, sometimes I pick books based on the mood, but sometimes it's based on the cover and season I'm in, which is why The Everlasting was a little tricky for me to view it in the spring once I looked at the cover. But this one I really want to read this summer, probably summer, springtime. I'm really excited about it. The little top part by the author, another author says, a world war and a fairy tale collide. Treasure, moving, surprising, and deeply evocative. If that does not scream me, I don't know what does. So that will be The Secret Book of Flora Lee by Patti Callahan Henry. Pause. Of course, I'm wearing a mic to do this. Oh, that's funny. This has a bookmark in it. Hold please. I don't know where that came from. Okay, the final book that I want to read this summer. Now, I have read this book before for school, but I haven't actually read it for enjoyment, but I want to read it for enjoyment. And that is Emma by Jane Austen. This, of course, is a classic. I find, surprisingly, that I'm in the mood at times to read classic novels. And I personally think if you are watching this and you have never read Jane Austen and you like romance, you like Regency romance, you want to read a classic that is just beautiful, you need to read Jane Austen. Her books are gold, fantastic. Now, I'll be honest, there's one Jane Austen book that I have not read, and can I remember the title of it? No, but I'm gonna look it up and waste some time. Anyways, while I'm looking this up on my Fable app, which by the way, I'm gonna try and link my Fable app with my videos from here on out. I love using Fable. This is not a sponsor, but you can be. I really like the Fable app. Okay, so I've read Pride and Prejudice, I've read Sense and Sensibility, I've read Emma. I have not read Persuasion, Northanger Abbey, or Mansfield Park. Another thing I should consider doing. Anyways, I really want to read Emma. I love this book. Again, like I said, I read it in high school, and I want to say I had to read it in college as well too, but regardless, this book is beautiful. It's masterful. It is a classic, and I'm really excited to read it this summer. I just have to say, the copy that I got by this, the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition, I have to look up the other editions of Jane Austen's books that look like this. Number one, like, look at how pretty. It's kind of got that like old antique-ish papering to it. I just sign me up. I have it also in, contextual essays. Anyways, I was saying how many pages this book was gonna be. It is 392 pages, so we'll see. But I love this book, Emma by Jane Austen, and I'm excited to read it. Now, though, I'm thinking I need to get all the other books by her and read the rest of them. So we have Emma. This is gonna be rough stacking. We have The Secret Book of Flora Lee, The Everlasting. We have Happy Place, Book Lovers, In Your Dreams, and Now Back to You. This is not including all of the other books that are on my TBR, but I want to read these in the spring and the summer, and you can hold me to them. This is 7 books, so that will definitely help me on my 80 book goal this year, which I can't believe I did it to 80 books. I'm crazy. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I would love it if you would like, comment, and please subscribe. I would love to have some subscribers. I would love to have any and all recommendations of things you're curious about in my reading journey. But I hope the book was fun. I hope maybe that it gave you some ideas of books that you can read in the spring or summer. And if you're a mood reader, comment down below, because I know I'm not the only mood reader out there. And yeah, thank you for watching this video. Cheers. And we'll see you next time. Bye.